So I kind of got asked and didn't reply, but I did some digging, and it seems like it might have been a fair question because I don't think I've covered it before, specifically this topic. It was about what rods for what horsepower and whatnot, and I think the only video I did covering the topic even at all was like Chinese H beams, like which Chinese H beams do you trust, how far will you take them, and a friend of mine said it best when he was doing a build with max beating rods, is that I mean, generally speaking, they all come from the same place. With the finished manufacturing getting done on our side, or people adding a little bit of tweaks here and there, but generally speaking, they're generic. And so as long as you have ARP rod bolts, and as long as you have, as long as the measurements come out good at the end, that's what's most important. So with that being said, if you've ever talked to me about getting an engine before, or if you've ever watched videos and heard me talk about what I think limits are. Now, limits are not scientifically proven. Not every single engine is going to break at the same place, but things do have a range and a max range. Now, what I feel safe and what I recommend people for building with H beams of any kind is like 700 horsepower. I think that's your good. It's a good safe limit. Now, every once in a while, you're going to see an engine make an 800 horsepower, 850 even with those rods. It's like I said, it's not an exact science for when things are going to fall apart, but there's a margin for error if you kind of stop at that 700 horsepower mark. And I think if you're crossing upwards of 800, you're in that 1,000 horsepower pocket now. So 800 to 1,000, you're looking at around the same kind of strengths for everything that you're going to need to make that kind of power. So if you're gonna build for 800, I would say build for 1,000 at that point, and then get like a much stronger rod. Now, my go-to rods are the Wiseco rods I've used before, and I'm blanking on exactly which they are at the moment. But I guess if you comment down below, at that point in time, I will have gone back and I can give you the exact answer. But yeah, they're big old rods. They're not I beams. I don't believe necessarily. They might be. Again, I can't remember. I've only used them. I think I've only put them in an engine once. K-Block a while back. But anyway, yeah, it's a pretty generic, quick response there. But I wouldn't worry too much necessarily about the brand. I mean, that's your option, your choice. Just make sure that everything measures up at the end of the day with what you're trying to do, clearance wise, and build your engine like that. It's the same thing, like when for people who like 500 horsepower, 500 horsepower, most blocks can handle stock sleeve. After 500 horsepower, then start doing some cylinder reinforcements, TSS or sleeving. Same thing with Nippon racing pistons. They're most of the modern piston Nippon racing pistons are good for like 600 horsepower now. A lot of the bigger ones, 625 horsepower. Personally, I like to say stop at 5. That gives you room for error, room for margin, for mistakes, and and at that point, there's only a 100 horsepower limit extra before you need to start building for something else. So if you build for 500 horsepower, you plan for 500 horsepower, 500 is your goal. So if you go 500, 550, it's not a big deal because you're good for like 6. But then if you plan on going 6 and beyond, if you plan beyond 500, then go ahead and build for 7. So I guess I could say in this video with that, saying that my 3 pocket ranges, or I guess could say 4, is building for 5, 500 and everything below that, and then building for 7, and then building for 8 to 1,000, and I guess it would be like 1,000 beyond, which at that point, I'm probably not 100% the person to ask because I don't know anybody on my blocks that are running 1,000 horsepower. Would I like to build something for 1,000? Personally, for me, we'll see how the next couple of years go. We'll see how things wind up with VHP engines. It would have to be where the S2000 has to be making me money. I realized the other day when I was working on the S2000, like the YouTube and VHP engines 100% paid for the S2K, and because revenue from VHP engines has pretty much gone to nothing, I can now afford to barely finish it, and I only had like a tiny little bit of things left. If you are following the S2K build, I got the fuel rail that I needed the other day, but it needs a pluming kit to go with it, which I didn't realize. that has been put on order last night. So the fuel rail came as fast as it did because I got it from Real Street, which is I believe in Tampa. So it was literally like a day and a half to get here. The pluming kit did not come from Real Street. I looked, didn't see that they had it, so I got it from somewhere up north. I would imagine it's going to take a week to show up, but hopefully that shows up. I put the pluming kit on, put the injectors and the fuel rail on. Hopefully we get no leaks from the injectors, and then I can swap out my map sensor and get ready to tune. Yeah, so hopefully VHP Ninjas will start picking back up with car content. Also, the B20 that I picked up the other day, it's a guy who races locally, and I've also sold his cousin a B20 like a year or so back. I did talk to them again, like, look, guys, you're local, you're racing on a regular basis. Maybe we can work out a deal where you get free labor and I get content, and then that'll be great for me. It'll be great for advertising. And hopefully I can even get to the point where I can get them free parts later on down the line, not just the free labor. So hopefully in the future, like, I didn't want to say anything because I've known about this for over a week now. I don't want to say anything until I actually had the block in my hand and talk to these people. But I got them, potentially their friends, and I've got Lewis, my friend in Orlando, that has a car for me, and then the S2000 is like on the cusp of being complete. It's actively being worked on. So that'll be, 3 potential points of car content over the later course of the year. Because, the B20 is not going to take much time to go back together. It's just an OEM build. It's an OEM refresh for the most part. With PHK pistons, he wanted to bump up the compression a little bit for his street class. I say street class. I don't know if it's street class. It's just the class he's racing in. And then Lewis is going to be more of just a daily drive, chill show car, and which is most likely going to be the same thing for the S2K. Again, YouTube paid for the S2K. And just from the little bit of bullshit I had to pay for and how much it hurt, just for that little bit of stuff, I can't afford for that car to break. So occasional pull, just chill driving, that's going to be the case. And I'm going to start working on the suspension after that, because I think that even if I don't keep the car, I want the car to drive like it's brand new. So that way I can experience it at its full quality, or as close to it as possible. So I will be slowly changing the suspension, and every bushing and shit on that car eventually will get replaced. But judging by my current state of income from the side money, it's going to take all year, if not more. So we'll see how that goes. All right, guys. So that kind of like segued in, but I didn't really have much to talk about with the rod. So I guess, if you guys only watched this for the first 2 minutes, it's justified. It is what it is. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Social media links will be in the description down below. If you want to ask a question about something, ask in the comments. If you're coming to me for tech tips in my DMs, I don't answer those anymore, guys. It's money only. So only business in the DMs, unless I know you personally, and then feel free, I guess. Thanks for watching, and peace.